Welcome to Dodgers Dogs. Casey Porter here, joined by Coach Barakoff the day after and then the day before. You know what that means, Coach? If I were to say that, what does that mean to you?
The day after? The day before?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just know we're back-to-back world champs. I don't know. Is that a riddle? Am I supposed to know that?
The day after the Dodgers are is the parade tomorrow, Monday? Is that right?
Yeah, tomorrow's Monday.
So it's the day after the Dodgers won their second world championship in consecutive years and the day before the parade, man. Hey, it was exciting last night. I got to say, I'm just as excited today. You know, sometimes it takes a while for these things to sink in. Sometimes as it goes on, you kind of lose your steam. I got to say, last night was instant. It sunk in immediately when they made the last out, and my joy has not gone away. I've been smiling all day, man.
I would like to say I have too. I don't know. It's funny. It's been fun to watch some of the social media stuff, the videos that are being put out there, things I didn't even see during the game. And, you know, Dave Roberts' reaction when Miggy Rowe hit that home run and he put his hands on his head. Yeah, I mean, I stayed up late night into the morning watching the Dodgers celebration and from the Dodgers, you know, the Sportsnet LA feed. And it just was awesome to see their, I wouldn't say relief, but like, my God, we just did something really, really special. And also on that case, I love seeing how excited they were for Kershaw. I mean, that just tells you what type of human being he is. So it was cool.
Yeah, and, you know, he threw the 11th inning of the one game, but other than that, Dave skipped him over for guys like Emmett Sheehan and Justin Robleski, even like a Jack Dreyer. And so he had to eat that, right? He had to, first of all, get moved to the bullpen. Then he had to eat getting the fact that he was getting jumped over. And he didn't give a rat's ass. All he wanted is to make sure that he won. So I think he went out with his we would have all loved it maybe if he made the last three outs. That would have been a cool, poetic way for it to end. But in a lot of ways, I think he went out with more grace than he possibly could have.
Yeah, I thought it was perfect. He didn't need to do anything else yesterday. I don't know if he was ever really considered. They asked Dave why he got him warming up. He said, I wanted to get his juices flowing. So maybe there might have been a tiny bit of consideration, but this was a perfect inning for him. I mean, he's now a three-time world champion. And for all of the issues that he took about not being a great playoff pitcher and not being able to win big games, he's ending up as a three-time world champion. And I think that's poetic. You say poetic. I think it's poetic for him to go out as a world champion and he'll never lose another game. I mean, he ended on a win. What is a better way to retire than that? So
no doubt. No doubt. This is I'm going to kind of dive into our coaching bag here a little bit. And, you know, when Dave says that the game honors you, so as a coach, there's a lot of times where you have a kid, in this case a grown man, but a guy or a player, whatever, of which they do everything you ask. They go above and beyond. You love them, but you simply have a better player in front of them. So every time that you fill out a lineup and they're not in it, as a coach, I'm just telling you, it kills you. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. You got to play the best players. That guy has been Miguel Rojas. And so as a manager and as a coach, whenever that comes full circle and that guy that you've had to not pencil in the lineup, and it kills you every time you don't do it, and it kills you every time you look at him and you know he's upset and he wants to be in there, when it finally comes full circle, I can't tell you how gratifying that is. So that those words that came out of Dave's mouth that the game repays you, I just can't even I can't explain the links of the gratification Dave had for Miguel Rojas.
Yeah, there was a couple things. Listening to the guys talk about it last night in the locker room, it seems like he's the most incredible teammate there is. Everybody was just so happy for him. And then what Dave Roberts says, the game honors those guys. And that tells you that he put in the work every single day. He showed up every day as a true professional. They asked Mookie, what do you give the credit for? You're possibly going to win a Gold Glove at shortstop. Who do you give credit to? And one of the guys he said was Rojas. That tells you everything you need to know about that guy. And I know he's a free agent. I hope that he and Kike are brought back. I think they're needed to be brought back. But yeah, so cool to see what Dave Roberts had to say. And he says, my gut, I just had a gut. We needed to get that guy in there. And it sure paid off. And what a cool thing for that to happen for Dodger fans.
Coach, let me also dive into this part of it. And all you got to do is just go to the Dodgers staff directory of all the people that make this happen. You know, hey, and rightfully so, We want to focus on Miguel Rojas hitting a home run, Will Smith hitting a home run, Max Muncy hitting a home run, Clayton Kershaw retiring, the greatness of Freddie Freeman, the greatest player ever in the game of baseball, in my opinion, Shohei Ohtani. Let me take a minute here, at least on my little show, to thank Billy Gasparino and Andrew Friedman, and not necessarily them. Those names are household. But the guys like, the Jack Murphys of the world, the pro scouts, the Rob Hills of the world that take Roki Sasaki and they fix him in the minor league, guys that do all of the behind the scenes work, okay? Like your AAA coaches like Dave Anderson and Scott Hennessy and Dylan Nishotka and Emmanuel Burris and at the AA level, the great work they did there. There are so many people that went into something like this that you will never hear their name from. I wanted to make sure that those guys and those people, we really highlight the fact that they are as big a part of this as anybody.
Yeah, and I don't think it gets lost in the shuffle, but so many people talk about how first class the Dodgers organization is from their scouting. Look what you do. Look what the Dodgers do in the draft. And it's kind of bothered me, and I probably wasn't in the right state of mind last night to talk about it, but everybody wants to talk about these high-priced guys. But let's look at something last night. The three biggest plays were a Dodger, and who came back to be a Dodger, in Rojas. Muncy, who they picked off after Oakland didn't want him anymore. And Will Smith.
By the way, Miguel Rojas traded for Jacob Amaya, who played about 10 innings. I love Jacob. We highlighted him, but they stole that trade, right? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and Will Smith, a Dodger farmhand. So the two biggest home runs of the game were Muncy and Will Smith. So yes.
How about the two pitchers, Robo and Emmett Sheehan?
Yeah, local, like our own homegrown guys.
Mm-hmm. And neither one of them were high draft picks at all, Emmett or Justin.
And that's where I'm going with what you're talking about. Is so much goes on behind closed doors or behind the scenes that we don't see, and the guys that are developing these guys, and it's incredible. People only want to look at the thing. They're ruining baseball because of the salaries. Well, the Dodgers are not ruining baseball. The Dodgers are just out developing everybody, and that's kind of the way I look at it. So cool. It's cool to see.
I got a kick out of. They asked Joe Torre that question. Hey, are the Dodgers running baseball? And he's like, well, I can't say yes because I was Dave Roberts 25 years ago, right? I had the Jarek Jeters and all the guys and won the 3 back-to-back. So he had to give the correct answer. So let me kind of get more specific on what you're saying about how this series – Will Klein, if you don't have Will effing Klein on your roster, you don't win the World Series, right? If you don't have Emmett Sheehan on your roster, you don't win the World Series. If you don't have Justin Robleski on your roster, you don't win a World Series, right? Okay, so there's number one. Max Muncy, as you say, was picked up off the scrap heap. Not to mention, by the way, the Dodgers made the incredibly difficult decision of parting ways with Austin, with Barnesy and CT3 earlier in the year. We completely forget the decision they had to make there. Tyler Glasnow. Johnny DeLuca was a switch-hitting nobody coming out of Oregon that the Dodgers drafted. And Brian Pepio, I love Pep, but he had an ERA about 3.86, good year, a whip under 120. But you're talking about trading for Tyler Glasnow for a Ryan Pepio and a Johnny DeLuca. Those are guys that anybody in Major League Baseball, everybody has a Ryan Pepio and a Johnny DeLuca to trade for. Okay, and then Shohei Ohtani actually didn't pitch all that well. The Blue Jays got to him. The Blue Jays got to Blake Snell. So whenever you actually look at the whole situation, it's more than just, hey, who came up through the farm system. It's how did you get these guys? How did you develop them? And for the most part, the meat that was on the bone was done because the Dodgers are so good behind the curtains.
I mean, he said it better than I could have said it. I think it just – people want to focus so much on the simple, obvious thing, but what baseball purists and people that understand, the Dodgers have one of the best farm systems. We've got the most instruction. People flock and want to be with the Dodgers. I just, again, listened to a Bryce Harper interview, and he said, fans, you better get used to it. Everybody wants to play for this team. It's a top-notch organization. Everybody is drawn to being a Dodger, and that's Bryce Harper saying that. But you're right. I mean, Kike Hernandez, I mean, that guy's a nobody. Pages is through our farm.
There
We
you
had to
go.
get him from
Kike.
the Angels.
Yeah, the Angels should have had Andy Pages. They could have easily had him.
I mean, look who our catcher was. You know, while Will Smith was hurt, some guy that was cast off that they call biceps now.
Coach,
I mean,
almost every team in Major League Baseball can afford Taylor Hernandez.
Yeah,
and Max Muncy. And Max Muncy's making, what, $11 million? I mean,
yeah.
Right?
So, it's to me, and it's kind of just piggybacking off what you're saying when you were giving credit to a lot of those names. It's the Dodgers have developed these guys, and it goes forgotten because it's easy to just want to say we're rooting it, but we're not rooting baseball. I think people just are not catching up to us.
Yes.
In what we're doing in terms of how we're drafting and what we have in our system. So I think that when they do that, then maybe the complaining will stop. But until then, we're out working people.
We have a great comment here. See, this is why Dodgers Dogs, the Dodgers Dogs, it's not the biggest community. It's just absolutely awesome conversation. Noah Ortega, thank you so much. Smith, Muncy, and Miggy combined are paid less than Manny Machado, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean,
good point, Noah. Great point.
No doubt. So let me go through these names, Coach. It's going to get a little bit boring here. I'm going to go each level, but I want to take the time to do this because they deserve it.
Yep.
Let me start with Rob Hill, the director of minor league pitching. He's the most creative human being I've ever seen. He's credited him and DA, Dave Anderson, AAA pitching coach, and Ryan Dennick for really diving into Roki Sasaki and getting him fixed. I'm going to try to get Rob Hill, all three of those guys actually on. I'm going to have DA for good. Here is the AAA Comets coaching staff. Congratulations to all you people. The manager, Scott Hennessy. Third base coach, my boy from OSU, Chris Gutierrez. Goot. I love Goot. Manny Burris and Dylan Neshotker are the two hitting coaches. DA, David Anderson, Ryan Dennick are the pitching coaches. Performance coaches, Paul Fournier and Jose Gutierrez. You have been around Oklahoma City. You know just how professionally ran that is. Congratulations to all those guys.
Nice. I think they well-deserved to have their names mentioned. Well-deserved. Yep.
So let me get to the AA Tulsa, this coaching staff. And before I get into Tulsa, Coach, this may be a little bit boring because I'm not going to go any longer without giving credit to all the guys behind the curtains, right? So I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma in mid-August. And keep in mind, Tulsa was one of the worst minor league baseball clubs in all of baseball for about 4 months. Okay, they were terrible.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I talked to Eric Wedge, the manager. I talked to Cordell Hipolito, who's the third base coach. I talked to Blake. I've messaged back and forth with Blake, who's the hitting coach. I talked to Durham Linger quite a bit, the pitching coach. And I talked to Capono, who is the first base coach there. I can tell you the one thing that they all said, Coach, and I want you to speak to this. They all said, even during the darkest times this year, Billy Gasparino, Andrew Friedman, Brandon Gomes, they would all every day call, and they wouldn't be judging. They weren't judging anybody. They simply asked, what is it that you need? And then they would say, hey, well, here's what we need. And they would say, okay, well, or let us know what you need. We are here to support you. That's the type of support. That's why you see it from Dave, because it starts, even when you have a team that's terrible like the Drillers, it starts at the top with Andrew Friedman, Brandon Gomes. I sat with Billy Gasparino at a game at AA Tulsa for 3 hours, and he was in heaven, and he was there just to see if there was anything they needed. It's incredible the amount of support this system gives.
Yeah, and what I'll touch on there, I think as coaches, we've been in places where the support wasn't there, and you don't get the question, what do you need? It's only you better start winning. Now, I've been in a spot like that. And to have that and to hear you talk about that just tells you why so many, again, I go back, why so many people want to be a part of the Dodgers organization. Yes. And why, when you read articles, when people say when they leave the Dodgers or get traded, the Dodgers did this for me, they did that. First class, everything was first class. And to treat a AA team like that in Tulsa, Oklahoma, how cool would that be to be the guy managing that team or being involved in that team, knowing that you have the support from the guys that lead the Dodgers? I mean, what a great work environment that is.
It's unconditional, incredible. Coach. It's unconditional.
Yeah.
I mean, as a player, if you know, and so what I'm trying to say is they have set the tone with the type of support that this is the type of support we're going to give everybody in this system.
Yeah.
And then they found a manager in Dave Roberts that just completely manages in that support structure that they have built. I mean, it's like a big, tight knit unit, and they all operate in the same way, and it's all just one big system of support. I know I'm going overboard here. That's fine. But I'm just telling you yes. So when people say, hey, they spent billions, I can't push back on that. But I'm going to tell you the reason why we're the Dodgers and not the Padres, the reason why we're the Dodgers and not the modern day Yankees is because of the conversation we're having right now, is because of the fact that Billy Gasparino goes to Tulsa in a time when they're struggling and gives them support and lets them know anything they need they can have. That's why the Dodgers are able to finish across the finish line over and over and over.
I mean, it's you wonder why teams win, and that's why the Dodgers win. It's just that the organization is so good. And again, I think Dave Roberts. I think all the second guessing these people did. There's a lot of people are out there being quiet now about a guy that's a Hall of Fame manager.
Yep.
I'm going to tell you. I don't know if you heard the story. Dave was asked something about right after the game, and he said, "Well, this showed me that these guys love me so much as much Freddie Freeman did." I don't know if you heard this story. Kept the ball, the last out, the ball that was used as the last out. He kept it and waited for 10 minutes, waiting for Dave Roberts to present him with that baseball.
Wow.
And Dave Roberts, that meant so much to Dave Roberts. One, it tells you how classy Freddie Freeman is, but it tells you how much this team loves Dave Roberts. And it showed last night. In as pressure-packed as you're going to get in professional sports, baseball Game 7, and the Dodgers guys looked terrible last night. My wife said, I just didn't think they were going to win, but they're the Dodgers. We figured it out. But Dave Roberts, the guys won that game because they have that. Dave Roberts has belief in them, and I'm gonna forever believe that Dave Roberts is one of the big reasons why this team wins, because they know they have a manager that believes in them. They can be themselves. So. I'm going with that, and I'm sticking to it.
Hey, this is a love fest. I don't care. If you don't want to hear a love fest between all of the great things that this organization does and all of the reasons that are behind the curtains beyond just the great talent they put on the field. We've seen that just putting great talent on the field with no chemistry, that's not enough. So the AA staff at AA Tulsa, Eric Wedge, who, by the way, was a 2006 Major League Manager of the Year when he was managing with the Cleveland Indians, he is the head man, and I can tell you nobody runs a more professional ship than Eric Wedge. He's super positive. He's the perfect Dodger manager. So Eric Wedge is the manager there. Cordell Hipolito is the third base coach. Blake Galen, a young rock star, is their hitting coach. Durham Linger, a very creative pitching coach there. Luis Vasquez also is the second pitching coach there. And then Jose Capelon is the bullpen catcher. Ethan Quarles, the performance coach. So as we go to the high A Great Lakes level, Jair Fernandez, by the way, Jair Fernandez, if you're an umpire and he feels like you're taking something away from his team, he will straight up get in your ass. I love watching Jair Fernandez get after it when he feels like one of his kids are getting screwed. How about this one, Coach? You remember Dickie Thon, right? Yes. His son is the bench coach.
Wow.
How about having Eric Wedge, a major? So here's another example. Eric Wedge is your AA coach. He is a Major League Manager of the Year in 2006, and Dickie Thon's son is the bench coach at your high A level. How about that?
Pretty good. That's pretty good.
Kevin LaChance is the hitting coach. Rock star. I've talked to Sean Coyne many different times. Very analytical. Pitching coach. Eduardo Dominguez also is a pitching coach. Lacina Ezra is the bullpen catcher. Braylon Hintz is the developmental coach. And then my guy, the best Dodger this side of Tommy Lasorda and Vin Scully. End of discussion. John Shoemaker, the manager at the single A level at Rancho Cucamonga. To have John Shoemaker, who has so much experience. Just go to my interviews whenever I ask about John Shoemaker, but with like a Nick Nastrini and guys like that, and watch them beam when they talk about, I can't tell you, being the first pro experience I have, having a guy like John Shoemaker put his arm around you, it makes all the difference in the world. So got to give just a ton of credit to John Shoemaker.
Wow.
You want to say anything about that?
I think what you're saying is incredibly awesome. I think these guys deserve so much. And they're a big reason why. I mean, it pays off down the long run. And you might not see it year or two or year three. It's these guys. It's there for the long haul. And boy, what a great job, Case. I love that you're doing this for these guys.
I'm sure this is a little bit long, a little bit boring. I don't care. I'm going to get these names out, and I'm going to make sure everybody hears them on my show. So please hang with me. We'll get back into the celebration here in a minute. Junior Zerpa is the bench coach. Yomin Chavez is the hitting coach. Brandon Bailey, my man, is the pitching coach. We actually have an interview with him with Mark Watkins. Ramon Troncoso, Major League pitcher. Brandon Bailey, Major League pitcher. Ramon Troncoso is one of the pitching coaches. Marco Hernandez, bullpen catcher. Jake Taylor, performance coach. So I wanted to make sure and get those names out again. Rob Hill, Austin Chubb, who's he's not a roving instructor. I can't ever remember exactly what his title is. Austin Chubb was the manager of the Great Lakes Loons in 2021. He roams around. I actually had a chance to talk to him for about 30 minutes in Oklahoma City back in August. He roams around and does a great job with the instruction. Rick Honeycutt, who I interviewed in Tulsa, He goes around and works with the pitchers. So I mean, it's amazing with the job that the Dodgers do behind the curtains to make it to where you can be as good as you are year in and year out. So any final thoughts on that before we get back to our celebration?
No, I'm just glad how much you talk about these guys, because it's easy to say we have the top farm system in all of baseball, but there's a reason why we have the top farm system. Of all the guys that you mentioned, they're the reason why, and they don't get a lot of credit in the public community. But that's awesome. And I think what you're doing is great. And they might not ever hear this. Doesn't matter. You've put it out in the universe. And that's why this is the best show on the planet for Dodger baseball.
Okay, so if I were to tell you Shohei Ohtani's only going to hit in one game, Mookie Betts is only going to get one hit that impacts the entire series, Freddie Freeman's only going to get a couple of hits, Will Smith is going to be pretty good. He's going to get one really huge hit. And then Andy Pages is not going to get a hit at all. Miguel Rojas is going to end up having to replace him. Miguel Rojas is going to have to replace Alex Call, who replaced Andy Pages. Blake Snell was going to get lit up. Shohei Ohtani wasn't going to pitch very well. And Tyler Glasnow was not going to be dominant. If I were to tell you all of those things going into this series, what would you say about the outcome?
We would have been swept.
Then, by the way, the Toronto Blue Jays were going to play as good as they possibly could.
Yeah.
What would you say to all that?
I think that gets forgotten. Toronto played about as good as baseball as you could possibly play, other than some base running errors. But I don't like those stats that you're throwing out on a day we're supposed to be celebrating. Yeah. But you know what? It tells you the makeup of this team, that they found a way to win a Game 7 and a World Championship with those numbers. And that tells you everything you need to know.
Coach, I got to say this too. You know, hey, there's pretty and there's gritty. The Dodgers are pretty. Hey, they have the big payroll. We don't hide from the big payroll. We don't apologize for it either. If you have the money, go do it. It would be a dereliction of duty if the Dodgers front office charged $25 for a beer and then didn't go get the best players in the world. They have a duty to do that. So that's not only is that not running baseball, they have a duty to put the best team on the field they possibly can. So not only do we not hide for that, we brag about that. So if you don't like that, too bad, right? But this is an organization that has put the best. But I want to say that. So there's pretty to that. That's the pretty part. But the gritty part is really another reason why this team's able to dig in. We talked about this last night. Will Smith, I don't want this to go unnoticed. He caught every inning of the World Series, and that includes an 18-inning game, so he caught 8 games, Coach. He caught the equivalent of 8 games. That's coming off of a broken hand. What can we say about Will Smith?
That's a stud.
Oh, my God, Coach.
He got an 18-inning game. I mean, come on now, right? The Dodgers are just a tough team, and I think it goes forgotten because you want to talk about all of the high prices and all that stuff, but the Dodgers are tough. They're tough for what they did last night. I'm trying to find it here. There was a guy that reported the thing about the Dodgers. He said, I've never seen a team work as hard as the Dodgers have all season long. They very rarely took days off on early BP or early in and outs. They always were working hard. That tells you a lot about a team. And I just can't find the tweet on one of my many messages I got sent yesterday, but that the Dodgers were the hardest working team in baseball, this guy said, I've ever seen. That tells you everything you need to know. Yeah, they're highly paid guys, but they go to work, and they weren't satisfied. I love hearing that. I love hearing that.
Justin Robleski was out there because he has a 99-mile-an-hour fastball. The matchups were favorable for him. That's part of it. But another part of the reason why Dave trusted Justin Robleski, Robo, in that spot, Coach, is because he does not give a shit. You want to challenge his ass, he's one of the most competitive human beings in the world. So, yes, there were matchups, yes, this and that, but I'm telling you, in a Game 7, national championship game, area finals, whatever it may be, Coach, whenever it comes between matchups and humans, you're going to go with the humans that you trust. Now, if the matchups are good too, even better. But Dave went with Justin Robleski because he trusted the fact that that sumbitch is competitive, and he could trust him to be competitive in the big moments. And I thought that, hey, I'm not taking any shit from these guys, from Justin Robleski. I thought that was a big reason why the Dodgers hung in last night.
Yes. I love it. Before, I just want to make sure, Jim Bowden on MLB Radio said he covered a ton of games this year in person. Dodgers were the hardest working team he saw in the entire season. They routinely took the field the earliest for warm-ups and absolutely worked harder than anybody else. Back to Robo. Yeah, I love that he didn't back down either in a Game 7 and threw right at that guy and said, you want some, come and get it. And then I loved him afterwards in the game that said, he guess he didn't want any from me. But that's the attitude that you need.
Yeah.
Like, that's a great attitude to have. You got the Snells and the Glasnows and the Yamamotos, like the really nice guys that are just studs. And then you got a guy like Robo, who is a stud, but he's got this fire to him. Like, I got to keep proving I belong here. And if I'm going to be used, I got to show it. And I loved it. I mean, some guy tried to, throw his hand out there and get hit. And he threw right at him again. I like that. And it almost was like the fire. It almost kind of woke the Dodgers up there for a second. Like, gosh, I mean, like, we're in this thing. Let's go.
Yeah.
But listening to Robo talk and Sheehan last night, Sheehan said, I got to experience this from a distance last year. Now I get to see it up close and personal. But look what these young guys are getting experience. Casperius, Dreyer, Robo, Sheehan. I mean, that's the future of your Dodger pitching right there. And they're getting to see Snell, Glasnow, Yamamoto, Kershaw. They're seeing what it takes to do this. And I think that's only going to benefit our pitching staff in the long run.
When your guy that you just signed for 10 years, however many $1 million, a couple of things, he's willing to throw the day after he threw 90 whatever pitches, and then the organization is willing to let him, because that's a big investment if you go blow his arm out. I mean, hey, I know you've won a World Series, but say that you throw Yamamoto back out there, he blows his arm out, and then you lose. You look, I mean, that's a big. I don't think people are understanding, if you're Andrew Friedman or if you're Dave Roberts, even if Yoshinobu Yamamoto is telling you, I'm good, I'm okay, you go, okay, well, what if I throw his ass out there and he doesn't have it? For one, I look like a dumbass. And for two, we blow his arm out, then we lose. Now we don't even have him for next year, maybe the year after that. That's a huge ass risk. So they were willing to put it all on the line, both players and management last night. And obviously they had that conversation before the game. That wasn't Dave on a whim going, hey, well, I think I'm just going to trust this. They all went together, I'm sure, and talked about that. So they were willing to take a risk and put it all on the line last night.
Yeah, and I think one of the best interviews I saw right after the game, they asked Yamamoto, would you have been able to throw the next day? And he said there was going to be no next day for me throwing. But like listening to the Dodgers talk about it, they said his routine, his stretching, the way he prepares for games, they were mesmerized too by the fact that he was able to go out and do it. His arm must have been great, and I think his preparation. But you're right. I mean, Dave, they're not going to just throw this dude out there, and I mean, you got to look at this guy for the long run. But for what he did, I mean, he's one of 4 pitchers now to win 3 games in a World Series. Mm-hmm. And he's the first pitcher ever to throw in Game 6 and throw in Game 7. I thought I saw that on MLB today or last night. It's incredible. What he did was incredible. And I don't know, Casey, I might go out on a limb and say this. I don't know if we'll ever see that again.
Not in this day and age.
No.
It's unbelievable, Coach. It's absolutely unbelievable.
Maybe some guy out there is going to try to duplicate it, not the Dodgers, but I think what we witnessed last night and how good he was. I mean, think about it. Other than the ball that Kike and Pages ran into each other, he got a ground ball with the bases loaded.
Yeah.
He got another ground ball to win the World Series to get the double play. I mean, that's incredible pitching. I mean, to get 2 ground balls in 2 big moments like that. I mean, wow.
Let me address one thing. There's some talk out there that, hey, Isaiah Kiner Kalefa didn't have a big enough lead. He didn't get a big enough secondary lead. Yeah. Bullshit. Okay, so what can't happen is at third base, if you get so far off the bag that you're further away than the third baseman, if they hit a line drive to the third baseman and he's able to run over the bag and tag the bag and you're out for a double play, you can't do that. So Kalefa, here is the smart part of what the Dodgers did. They had Max Muncy close enough to the bag. These are all the games inside the games, the cat and mouses, whatever you want to call them. And the cat and mouse is the games inside the games. This was the best series I've ever seen for behind the hood cat and mouse games. So right there as a manager, you have to tell your third baseman, you got to hug the bag, Max, and here's why. We've got to have a short, if you're going to come home with it, we have to have a shorter lead and a shorter secondary lead from the runner at third. So one thing that's going completely unnoticed in terms of strategy for the Dodgers is that they hugged Max close enough to the bag to where if there actually was a ground ball that was hit that wasn't directly at one of the infielders, they still could throw Kalefa out at the plate. So that was a great, there's another feather in the cap of Dave Roberts of great managing.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. That, and they asked Dave about Pages, and they figured if anything was hit on the ground into center field, Pages' arm was going to be, and they knew that he would want to come home with it. So that was that. And then all of the grief that we've given Pages, that ball that he tracked down in center field where he came from, as much as I'm a Kike Hernandez, I think he's the best player ever.
He wasn't going to catch it.
Kike's making that play.
He ain't catching it, Coach.
But Dave pulled all the right strings. And I thought Toronto, for the most part, other than some base running things, I thought they did a great job, too, with the way he managed. I love that guy as a manager. I don't know. I don't care what anybody else thinks. I like the way
Schneider? Oh, he's awesome.
But Dave Roberts just, I don't know why people, what does this guy have to do to get people off his back? It's kind of bothersome to me. We have a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Fame manager. And he might go down as one of the best ever, Casey. I mean, if you look at it.
He matches up wise. He matches up wise. Wins in the postseason and regular season. He's matches up as one of the best ever.
7-2 in elimination and elimination games or something like that. 7-2 or so. I think we should be honored and privileged that we have had Tommy Lasorda and Dave Roberts as our managers.
Wow.
I mean, talk about luck, right? That's pretty lucky.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people talk about Joe Torre, but he managed the Dodgers, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and who's been better?
Well, it's
with the Dodgers.
Dave Roberts.
When you compare apples to apples, who's been better as a Dodgers manager, Roberts. Right? Now, obviously, there's more resources, so I mean, maybe that's not apples to apples, but you know, here's another deal, Coach. The reason why I think you see the Dodgers respond so well in crunch times like this, they've been there before, but I will say this about Dave, that Coach Holt said this is a strength and a weakness. It's tough to get into Dave's trust tree. He has to have seen you do it before, but then you say, well, hell, he doesn't give these young guys a chance to even give them a chance to see if they can do it. So it's kind of a double whammy for the young guys. But I will say this, by the time he puts you in big leverage situations, that tells you that you're in his trust tree, and it's very damn hard to get in his trust tree. So that's an amount of confidence that a player can have that I think other managers don't give their guys, that kind of search and peck for guys, maybe, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and you know what? This was a year that I think he was forced to use some guys that weren't in his trust tree that ended up becoming into his trust tree.
Yes.
Robo, Dreyer. I mean, you know, you're right. I mean, it's a strength and a weakness. His weakness was Blake Trinan, and you know what? He didn't go back to Blake Trinan. You know, and I was kind of worried last night. Are we going to see Blake Trinan? And
he went to Robo instead of Bonda.
Yeah, that was it. We talked about that last night. I mean, we didn't see Bonda at all, and Bonda has been in that trust tree for 2 years in a row, almost to a fault. But that's also a strength. You touched on it. If you're in Dave's trust tree, the confidence that you have, and I think Rojas was in that trust tree. It just wasn't the time. And I think for Dave to go to him, that tells you, I think, everything about Dave as a manager. I don't think it was a desperation move. A lot of people do think that. I think it was a move of, I trust this guy. We're going for it, and let's see what happens. And I think he would have died on that hill with Rojas if it didn't go the right way.
No doubt.
I think he would have backed the move.
Wouldn't you have?
Right?
What else could he do? Wouldn't you have? And that's it. Yeah, right.
But I don't know. I'm glad Dave Roberts our manager.
Yeah, 100%. So let me kind of throw out a really stupid, weird kind of scenario / question here, because you have a guy that's 50-50 in Shohei Ohtani, the greatest player of all time. And I still think there's a lot of meat left on his bone, Coach. I still think there's a better version, maybe even substantially, of Shohei Ohtani out there, especially in the postseason. So is there any way now that he went through this both pitching and hitting-wise, the Dodgers dynasty, the legacy of their dynasty for this generation of Dodgers, even if they don't win again, has been solidified. They've won 3 since 2020. That dynasty's been solidified. Shohei's been a part of 2 of those. In the weirdest way, is there any way that now he can just kind of relax and not feel like he has anything to prove in terms of, yeah, he's the greatest player in baseball, but one that hasn't performed in the postseason or hasn't been given the chance to? Or is that just too stupid of something even to say?
No, I'm going to look at this and I'm going to kind of ramble, but it makes sense to me. So when they interviewed him, he said, I was just trying to fit in last year's with that team. I was just trying to find a way to fit in. This year, he was cast out to be the greatest player ever, and he struggled. Here's what I like. I think it was almost, for me, I almost think Ohtani now is thinking, man, oh, man, I did not play well in these playoffs. And it's almost been, 2 years in a row now? Okay, yeah. He wasn't great. He hasn't been great for 2 years. This might be that thing that catapults Ohtani to become even better.
That's exactly what I'm saying, Coach. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay. So
and you might go, well, better. What the hell are you talking about? He's a great. That's kind of that's exactly what I'm saying.
I just think this was something for a guy that is the greatest ever. It's like the Jordan effect. Detroit figured out a way. The Jordan rules with the Detroit Pistons back in the day, for you older people out there. I am 51, but I almost want to think maybe in Ohtani's mind, like, man, oh man, I dodged a bullet on this one, and he might just come back even stronger. I mean, he started taking BP, which he never does, towards the end of this thing. I want to just say maybe it was a big slap in the, hey, wake up, buddy.
Yeah.
We got to prepare differently. I'm also going to say this, and I think it goes unnoticed, and they talked about it last night. The Dodgers played a lot of baseball. They've gone deep, deep, deep into the baseball playoffs for a lot of years in a row now, and starting this baseball last year so early, going to Japan and finishing off the way they did, that's a lot of baseball. What is that, March to November?
Unbelievable.
That's more
for
than
how many years in a row, Coach?
Yeah, and don't forget, the Blue Jays were a last-place team last year, so the Dodgers have played a ton more baseball than anybody else out there. So maybe fatigue had something to do with Ohtani. He's pitching again, and he hasn't done that for a while. I think a lot of that played into it, but I think we're going to see a better Ohtani.
So here's maybe one reason why. Here's one thing I think you could say. This is a great question from Jay, and this is directly directed to you from Jay, okay. Coach. So this is to Coach B from Jay. Michael Jordan played with competitive anger. Would that mindset work for Shohei? Does he need to have more of a competitive anger?
I think on the initial comment, you would all like to say, yes, I would like to see him play. I think he showed some of that on that mound when he got that strikeout and gave a fist pump, and whatever he said, he said. I don't know if it's in his makeup to play with anger. It was in Jordan's makeup. The history of Jordan and how competitive he was in practice and pickup games and fights that happened, if you watch any of the documentaries. Yeah. I don't know if there's the Jordan, Kobe makeup in Ohtani in terms of anger. I think he's going to become more I think he realizes that I did not play well in the last 2 postseasons. I think that's where you're going to get more of a competitive, I want to say competitive anger. I don't know if you're going to see the Jordan anger. I just don't know if that's his makeup. I mean, does that make sense?
No doubt. Absolutely. You would be the perfect one to come at that from a basketball perspective. Makes total sense. Great answer there. Also, Emmett Sheehan, Coach, another one of the young relievers.
Yes.
We talk about Robleski just doesn't take any shit off anybody. Part of Robleski, too, is that he's always been good, but he's always come up short of that championship. Like at Oklahoma State, he tore his Tommy John, wasn't able to help that team moving forward. He got hit by a car at Clemson. His high school team didn't have all of the prospect guys. So, yes, they made it to the state tournament, became a couple of games away short. He has always been motivated by he finally wanted to win that championship. So that came full circle last night, as crazy as that sounds. So he has that outwardly, you can see it on his sleeve, that competitive anger that we're talking about Wrobleski does. Emmett Sheehan has that same anger, but it's very quiet, and it's a very quiet confidence. And I can tell you that he is just as competitive on a random Tuesday facing the El Paso Chihuahuas as he is in the World Series. Yeah. So that ability to be able to stay calm, but yet extremely competitive, that quiet, confident competitiveness from Emmett Sheehan is very impressive, Coach.
Yeah. The quiet guys are the guys that scare me.
Oh, yeah.
I'm always worried about the quiet guys. Robo reminds me of a guy that I had, a kid from Australia, Brad, who never won a championship, and he won two with me. And the relief that he had of I've been so close, and I finally get it now, and I understand why I've done what I've done. I think that was Robo last night. I just looked at him, and you can see it in his eyes. I just look at it from a coaching standpoint, the relief of I finally got this thing. I've worked so hard. I've had all these, the letdowns that you talked about. I mean, that's normal. People aren't bouncing back from that stuff. But it tells you everything about Robo and Sheehan. You're right. I mean, I've seen it. When I was working with Oklahoma City, I've watched him. That dude has some quiet fire in him. But that's why I like this future with the Dodgers. Casparius, Dreyer, Robo, Sheehan. I like that. I like the makeup of that staff, and they're getting, again, I said it already, they're getting to learn from some really good dudes.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm going to say this. I got a chance to talk to him. I know for a fact, I am not guessing. When Will Klein made his Major League debut for the Royals, it was bigger than the world to him. He was nervous. I mean, he went to Eastern freaking Illinois. Coming out of high school, Indiana didn't even talk to him, and Indiana's not even a good baseball program, short of when Kyle Schwarber went there. He went to Eastern freaking Illinois. I can tell you the lights were bright just to make a Major League debut. The lights were bright this year whenever he pitched on this Dodgers team, and he looked around and he went, okay, my name's Will freaking Klein. I'm from Bloomington, Indiana. Did not even get talked to by the University of Indiana, where I grew up from. I had to go to Eastern Illinois. There's Freddie. There's Mookie. Shohei's in the dugout. Yamamoto's over there. We got Roki. And he's looking around. He's like, holy shit, Will freaking Klein's on this. That's literally what happened to him this year. I'm just telling you, okay? So how did we go from that Will Klein to the one that's like, bring it on, boys. Let's play 19. How did we get to that spot?
I think it's because he's a Dodger, and then they've got him ready for this. And the names that you've mentioned have prepared him for this moment.
Great point.
That's just how I feel about it, and I've always felt that way. You just happen to say it and put it in a poetic way. I think that's why these Dodgers are what they are. Now, Will Klein better not buy another drink in the city of Los Angeles.
Not ever. Or Oklahoma City. He won't buy a drink in Oklahoma City if he comes back next year.
I'm telling you what, that one performance will put him in World Series history forever and ever and ever. I don't know what his salary is or what he's going to make after this, but you know what? I don't think he'll care. He's going to become he's a World Series legend on a team that just won the back-to-back, and he's going to be talked about forever, ever. He's always going to be mentioned about this World Series because it was the longest World Series game in the history, and he was the major guy in it. I'm so pumped for that guy. So pumped for Will Klein.
100% on that deal. And then also, Coach, let's talk about this for a second. I can't go any longer without mentioning my boy. No, not my boy, because I didn't interview his ass, because I was busy interviewing everybody else that I thought might actually have an impact on the Major League team. And I never even dawned on me I needed to prioritize. I mean, I'm talking to all sorts of guys, everybody except for Ben Rortvedt. I mean, never even crossed my mind, hey, I better be urgent in interviewing this guy because he might get pulled up. And you know what? He might play a big impact in the playoffs for the Dodgers. What can we say about Ben Rortvedt? Hey, it's easy to forget what he did while Will Smith was trying to nurse his way back to health. The Dodgers may not win the World Series without Ben freaking Rortvedt.
Listen, we've talked about, I'm telling you, you and I and everybody else, we've talked about this guy. He reminded me of Mickey Hatcher. He was goofy. I didn't like his batting stance. He did some weird things at the plate. He was just a weird guy. But what he did with that pitching staff I don't want to say this because he's a world champion, but a no-name guy to come in and command the room is what everything, at least I've been hearing through interviews, command the room of a pitching staff. And I would love to see those numbers, what he did behind home plate and the breakdown of how well that pitching staff pitched. That tells me everything, that those guys had confidence in him. Yes, there were times they shook him off and there was some anger on their faces, but what he did was spectacular. And for a guy that can't really hit, he was a Dodger and he hit. And he had some big hits for us.
He put some bunts down. He did all that.
And to think he started the wild card series?
Yeah.
And was really good behind the plate? I won't forget that guy. I won't forget it because he reminds me, and again, I always say it, reminds me of Mickey Hatcher.
Yeah.
Just this goofy dude that loved to play and didn't have any pressure and just went out and got things done. Ben, job well done, if you're listening.
Coach, there's free throws. We talked about this last night. There's free throws, and then there's free throws, right? Like, okay, middle of the first half, whatever. The guy shoots 94% from the free throw line. But can he actually shoot free throws when the game's on the line in the last minute, right? Those are the guys you have in your trust tree. When it comes to just a random 1-1, of course, I don't think there's 1-1 in Division I college basketball anymore, is there? Is there still a 1-1? Okay, there is no in high school anymore. At least in Oklahoma, there's not. Okay, so if it's a random 1-1 in the first half, I'm not quite sure I want Teo or Max Muncy shooting those free throws because, hell, they might brick. They might miss the whole damn rim, right? But I'm telling you, whenever there's 32 seconds left and we're down 1 and it's a 1-1 situation, I want Max Muncy's ass at the plate. I want Teo Hernandez's ass at the plate. I want Kike Hernandez's ass at the plate. What is it about guys like that are really just kind of fringe, marginal? Not marginal. I'm marginalizing them too much, but they aren't like the superstars. What is it about those guys that allow them to make those free throws in crunch time?
You know, if I knew that, I would develop somebody, and you and I'd make a lot of money. I don't know. What is the stat? Somebody out there help me with this. Max Muncy has more hits than Babe Ruth in the World Series, or is ahead of Babe Ruth.
Wow!
I saw that randomly, but the swing Max Muncy took to hit that home run was pure beauty. And let's think, he wasn't. I'm going to go back. That walk he took, in my mind, I say, wow, we got Muncy's back. Now, had no prediction that he was going to hit one of the biggest home runs in World Series history. But that at bat, and then that swing that he took was pure. It was beautiful. And let's not kid ourselves. He did not look good at the plate the entire World Series. It was 137 or something like that. And to go back to what you're saying, for him to hit that home run, pretty good. Teo, I mean, that guy can make an error, base running error, misplay a ball to right field, and yet he comes up and hits a home run, and everything is forgotten about that, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know what to say or how to say about Max Muncy is all I'm going to talk about. I don't know why all of a sudden that swing was so beautiful. I don't know. That's something that God created, and I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. It's incredible, though, to see that. I mean, just put yourself in that as a baseball guy, Case. Imagine you having the feeling of nervousness being up there. He was nervous, and to hit that ball the way he did, I don't know. I'll never forget that.
I'm going to ask you an impossible question, and you can ask it back to me too, because the biggest reason why I'm a Dodgers fan is Kirk Gibson's home run. Now, let me kind of give you the backstory here. In the 80s, a lot of times the Dodgers and the Yankees played, or late 70s, I think late 70s, early 80s. So I was a Dodgers fan to begin with because I liked them way better than I liked the Yankees. And so I was a Dodgers fan just casually as a kid, like a 10-year-old kid, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old kid. But I loved listening to Vin Scully and Joe Garagiola. I mean, Joe Garagiola would talk about Dizzy Dean and Daffy Dean and crap that happened back in the 50s. And I could listen to him all day. And then Vin Scully was literally like, honestly, Coach, I did not know Vin Scully was even the Dodgers announcer when I had no clue. I just knew Vin Scully from calling the World Series. And he just mesmerized me. And I am not over exaggerating. he mesmerized me with how incredible he was. It was like, wow, it was amazing. And so then when I found out that he actually was the Dodgers announcer, and then Kirk Gibson hits the home run in 1988 when I'm 15 years old, I'm freaking hooked. And I've been a diehard ever since. So I say that with a lot of background for me, the impact that Kirk Gibson home run had for me. Is the Miguel Rojas home run bigger than that one?
I don't know how to even where to go with that. I think I put a picture on Facebook of me at Dodger Stadium with my mom and dad in 1979. I was hooked on the Dodgers. We're listening to Vinny underneath my pillow with the radio.
Did I throw too much of a fastball at you there?
No, I'm going to get to it. Okay. Right. The 81 Dodgers team, it will always be my favorite. Dusty Baker and those guys. And you talk then about Gibby's home run in 88. I tell the story all the time on this show. My neighborhood, when the ball was hit and fireworks were going off, as I saw last night of my friend in Lot 20 last night. But is Rojas's home run as big as Gibby's? I'm just going to have to say, for sentimental value, yes.
I agree. That's how big that home run was. I gave all that background context to agree with what you're saying.
I can't believe I'm saying that. I never really thought about it until this question, because
it's like sacrilegious.
The Dodgers were such decidedly underdogs against that A's team. No one thought we could beat the A's. Well, no one even thought we could beat the Mets leading into that, right?
But Coach, I know Rojas wasn't hurt, but it's still equally as unbelievable. You can't believe Gibson did it because he couldn't walk. You can't believe Rojas did it because he can't hit. He wasn't even supposed to play.
Well, he hadn't had a hit or a home run against a righty in forever. Had to have a hit in the play. I think it's going to go unnoticed, but that home run I think will go down in Dodger lore. Yes, and will be considered one of those home runs. Yeah, I think it has to be, because I think the Dodgers were dead at that point.
Yeah, no doubt. How about the Freddie Freeman home run last year in Game 1? Is that up there with them?
Yes, it has. Yeah.
Because I don't think the Dodgers. It's a lot harder. They might still win that series, but it's a lot harder. If Gibby doesn't hit his home run, there's no way the Dodgers beat the A's. I think if Freddie doesn't hit his, the Dodgers still might beat the Yankees. If Rojas doesn't hit his last night, I don't think the Dodgers win.
No, I think, gosh, that's a great point. I mean, I think Rojas's home run's got to be considered one of the greatest home runs in Dodger history. It has to be, and it's the most unlikely one. Yeah, Gibson was an unlikely one, but it was still Kirk Gibson. It wasn't Miguel Rojas. It wasn't Rojas. Freddie Freeman's grand slam. Cody Bellinger's, what was it, a Game 7?
Chris Taylor's. Of course, it wasn't World Series, but
to say Rojas, that would no. I think that's like Bill Russell hitting a home run. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
Bill Russell was a starter. Wow, that's a great down. Do you agree? So you also agree that's got to be one of the Dodgers?
Coach, I'm trying to give context as to how big of a moment that was when Miguel Rojas hit that home run, because I personally think and you got to know, I'm from Oklahoma. I have no reason to be a Dodgers fan. I am a fan because of Vin Scully and Kirk Gibson. Okay.
Yeah.
End of discussion. There's no other reason for me to be a Dodgers fan. And then whenever they came in 2015, it was just like nirvana for me, obviously. But I was a diehard way before that. That was just icing on the cake. And I say all that to say that home run for Miguel Rojas was as big to me as the one that Kirk Gibson hit. And I'll also say this, if you haven't noticed, it probably gets boring to people, but I like to give context and backstories and set things up. And I think in some kind of subliminal way, that is because of Vin Scully, because I enjoyed that so much as a kid. You know what I mean?
Yay. I love it. Is anybody else talking about that in the chat? I mean, I would love to hear other Dodger fans' opinions on that, but I never really thought about that. I almost took it for granted last night that he hit it. And a weird way of saying it, it's like, yeah, that was supposed to happen, where now that I'm sitting here and you're actually describing some of this stuff, that was very unlikely to have happened. And from that guy, boy, oh boy, great point, Casey. I'm kind of speechless right now. I never really thought of it in that context. Yeah, that's got to be up there, if not 1, 2, top 3 of all time. And it's got to be one of the biggest World Series moments also.
Wow.
It has to be.
Wow. You know, you got to be proud of Andy Pages, and not just because he caught the ball. It's because he had the courage as soon as the ball was hit to say, you know what? F this. I'm going to go and catch that sumbitch, and I don't care what people think. Dave says it all the time. In the biggest moment of his life, and yes, that was the biggest moment of Andy Pages' life. End of discussion in terms of baseball. His biggest moment of his baseball career. End of discussion. Not even close for Andy Pages. In that moment, he did not hesitate to not be afraid to fail, and he went over and he made a catch because he was convicted not to be afraid to fail. That's why I'm proud of Andy Pages. I know I'm getting very sentimental. Sorry, that's how I'm not going to apologize for that, because that's just how I feel tonight, right? I'm just so excited and just so warm fuzzied right now. So super proud of Andy Pages.
Well, let's go back to a moment that was a big topic about Andy Pages' lack of willingness to make big plays with the home run that he probably didn't have an opportunity to make the catch. I will firmly believe he didn't have an opportunity to make that catch when Yamamoto was going for the no-hitter. Was that in any part in the back of his mind? I don't think it was, but maybe leading up into that moment, like, who knows what he thought over the months, after that. But I didn't see any hesitation from him last night in not wanting to sacrifice his body or make the play. Like all the Dodger fans said, that Pages doesn't have it in him to make those plays. How could he not make that play? And yet last night, he ran down a ball that I would love to see like the analytics on how far he went and the speed he went. And then he knocked over the legendary Kike Hernandez. I mean, come on now. Kike's a legend. But what a play by Pages. And he took so much stuff from Dodger fans.
Yeah.
He doesn't give everything he has.
It would have been easy to be afraid to fail in that moment, is what I'm saying.
And that's where I'm leading to also.
Yeah.
Could have been easy for him to say, I don't know if I could get that. Kike's going to get that.
Yeah.
And he went over and made one of the greatest catches in World Series. I'm just telling you right now, it's got to be one of the best catches ever. And I'm not trying to compare him to Willie Mays. Please don't say that, people. But what he did last night was pretty spectacular. And I went and looked, and I'm looking at all these Dodger fans that just couldn't stand Andy Pages out in the center. But yet that dude made a gigantic play.
He did.
I was so pumped.
He did. Can I take you back to a play, too, that I don't want to get forgotten? The worst defensive player in the Dodgers lineup, who would you say it is? Or do you not want to say that?
Teo, right?
Teo. It's not close, right?
Not even close.
Do you remember when he went and got that double down the right field line and threw the ball to Tommy Edman, and Tommy Edman threw the relay home to Will Smith, and they got the out at home plate? You remember that play?
I sure do.
Maybe the biggest contribution from Teo Hernandez. Try this on for size. Maybe the biggest let me throw this at you. The biggest contribution that Teo made was defensively, and the biggest, although the play for Miguel Rojas defensively was huge, but I expected him to make that play. Honestly, that didn't. I was like, oh yeah, he's going to make that play. Sweet. So the biggest contribution Teo made was defensively. The biggest contribution that Miguel Rojas made was offensively. Try that one on for size, right?
I don't know. I don't know if we had that on the bingo card, right? Yeah. And Pages defensively makes a great play. Kike in left field. I mean, how many times did Kike play left field leading up into the playoffs? I mean, that just, again, the versatility of the Dodgers, being able to move Edman to center, bringing Rojas in, who's not a second baseman, by the way. I think we forget that, right? He's not a second baseman.
He's a baseball player.
There you go. I think that's the versatility that will go on. Will not be talked about a lot from the Dodgers, is the versatility they have.
Coach, I gotta ask too. I don't remember ever a World Series ending Game 6 and Game 7 on double plays by the same team. I don't think that's ever happened. I mean, just kind of getting into some of the remarkable aspects of this World Series. The World Series ended in Game 6 and Game 7, double plays in both games by the same damn team. I mean, what's the odds of that happening?
It's baseball. That's what's so great about it. Mean, you're talking about that double play last night. I'll be honest. I was laying on the floor in the dark listening to Steven Nelson and Rick Monday because I couldn't watch the TV. And I was listening to the radio. When it happened, I jumped up, ran to the TV, turned mute on because it was such a delay with the radio and the TV broadcast. I wanted to hear Joe Davis's call. But yeah, to end on a double play, oh my gosh. Again, I talked about it last night. For me, it's the greatest poetic justice. The ripping everybody did on Mookie Betts. And who did that ball go to win the World Series? It went to Mookie.
Were you nervous at all? Were you nervous at all?
When he got there?
When you saw the ball hit, were you nervous at all about him turning two?
No.
No, yeah.
No, and you could go and check my receipts on these Dodger dailies. I've always been a supporter of Mookie Betts. No.
Hey, Coach, let me ask you this. Who has been the defensive replacement in center field?
Who is going to be?
Who had been up until last night?
Justin Dean, correct?
So why did Dave put in Andy Pages instead of Justin Dean? There's an aspect that nobody's talking about. The guy who has been the defensive replacement in center field has been Justin Dean. But instead of putting Justin Dean in there, Dave put Andy Pages. And hey, I love Big Papa, but that's a big moment from D2 walk-on being in Oklahoma City all year. That's a pretty big moment to throw him in. He put in Andy Pages because of the trust tree factor. That part of it worked out. So I think a part of Dave's managing last night that's getting unnoticed is not the fact that he just brought in Andy Pages. It's that he leapfrogged Andrew Dean to bring in Andy Pages. And I don't think Andrew Dean catches that ball just because I don't think he's confident enough to say, Kike, get the hell out of my way. Let me go make a play. How about that for managing?
I'm glad you brought it up because I thought about that last night. It was almost like one of these deals where Dave said, I think Pages has learned his lesson tonight. I think he's learned it. It's time.
Keep in mind, Justin Dean's my boy. I love Justin Dean. I'm not trying to dog on him. I'm just saying I don't think he makes that play because I don't think he feels like he has the right to run over Kike Hernandez in that moment, right? You see what I'm saying?
And that's where the trust tree is. And it's like, again, I think it was like Dave saying, all right, I proved my point to you. Now go make a play. Because his first comment was, I put him in because of his arm. And he goes, and I knew he would try to get the guy out like that. That was the confidence that he had in Pages. And I kind of laughed last night because in my mind I said, Pages has learned his lesson. All right, let's see what he can do. And then he goes and makes that play. Now, I couldn't have predicted he was going to make that play, but in my mind that was running through as a coach. All right, he's figured it out now. I could go with him now, but you're right. He was in the trust tree. Dean will never be in that trust tree.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just not kid. I mean, Game 7, Dean in my mind never was. I never thought he was going to go to Dean. I never thought he was going to go to Pages until he did. But trust tree is right, and Pages is in that trust tree, and he went to him, and it paid off. And you know what? It paid off for years now for Pages.
It did. You be cool. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. We're got about 10 more minutes, Coach. You good for about 10 more? Okay, cool. Let's do that. Okay, so on the topic of Justin Dean, of things that are unbelievable as part of this series, Coach, I saw the MLB Network, I think it was Mark DeRosa, walk out to the center where that ball lodged underneath the fence, and he tried to throw a ball from 3 feet away and couldn't get it to lodge. Of course, he doesn't have the velo. I mean, he's not throwing the ball. Well, maybe he is. I don't know. He couldn't get it to get lodged. So the fact, number one, that the ball got lodged like that, that's a destiny type situation, which is weird because I kept hearing about how the team of destiny was the Blue Jays. And then for just some random guy named Justin Dean, when I say random, I mean a guy that nobody knew who he was a month ago, right? For him literally instantly just to do this, like, hey, I can't play that ball, instead of going to reach for it, because if he goes and reaches for it, it's going to be game on there. Justin Dean made a real big impact by just at least knowing what the hell to do in that situation.
Yeah, Case, I'm going to flip this one back to you. Is that something that is talked about in the defensive meetings? Isn't Dino Ebel the defensive outfielding coach?
That's talked about in the defensive meetings like the first day that you join the organization, and I'm not sure it's ever talked about again. I love the Dodgers. They cover every stone. But if anybody in the Dodgers organization wants to tell me, oh, yeah, we covered the fact with Justin freaking Dean that if in the 9th inning the ball gets lodged underneath the fence to hold your damn – if anybody says that and they do it with a straight face, I'm going to laugh my ass off because there ain't no freaking way that was covered in the pregame meetings, because who in the hell would even think that that's even capable with a – I mean, how this Rogers Center is like $1 trillion. I mean, so you have $1 trillion and you have the ability. I mean, and also with the Mark DeRosa showed it. You can be 3 feet away and not. The fact that they got lodged was almost like a minor miracle. So there was no way that was covered in that pregame meeting. There's no, even if they say it, I won't believe it.
Well, I threw you a loaded question because I didn't think so either, but I figured I'd throw it out to you. But yeah, I think at that time, doesn't just baseball. I mean, we've all played baseball, you know, and the ball bounces over, or when you, whatever, you put your hands up or whatever it is. Or as a kid, you know, it gets lodged out in the tree somewhere and you put your hands up. I mean, it just was an instinctive thing by Dean, but the chances of that ball sticking in there was unbelievable. And again, it just shows you how great baseball is, that anything can happen. But I didn't see that coming. I mean, who did? That was incredibly crazy to see that.
Okay, I'm going to ask you, we got, a couple more minutes here. Hey, do we have another suit? Yeah. Hey, Scarecrow 06, thank you so much for the $9.99er. Awesome. Thank you for all the great insights and shows this year. Enjoy the championships. Thank you so much for tuning in, Scarecrow. Coach, this comes from the bottom of all of our hearts. We love Dodgers baseball. We love talking to the Dodgers dogs. I can tell you this, we are all so proud of the community we have built, because it's such a first-class community of people watching the show and interacting. There's no throwing people under the bus. There's no, hey, bro, that bro's ass. There's no, it's, hey, yeah, if you don't like something that happened, wonderful. Let's all talk about what we don't like. Let's discuss it like a manager or a coach would, or any real professional would. You Dodgers dogs bring that to the table every time. And I got to say, Coach, I know you feel the same way I do. I'm damn proud of the community we built here, and I don't mind saying it out loud. I hope that doesn't sound douchey, but I don't mind saying that out loud.
I absolutely. I'm not going to say names or anything else, but I've done other things before with About Dodgers, and I won't do them ever again, because I don't need to, because I have found a community that understands Dodger baseball, wants to discuss Dodger baseball, wants to discuss it in a baseball frame of mind and talk baseball. This is the best community ever. I've become friends with guys on Twitter now that send me messages and we talk during the game. I've got my own people now watching this show, and everybody says the same thing. Wow, so-and-so was spot on tonight. Wow, Coach Holt was spot on. Man, Austin knew that guy from way back when. Casey's interpretation, Mark Watson, everybody talks about how knowledgeable this podcast, this live show is, but it's more so we get our juice from the people that put out the questions and follow this show. Yeah. And you're right. It's a great community, and numbers don't tell you anything. We're small in numbers, but we're mighty with our knowledge of the Dodger baseball and our love for the Dodgers. So that's why I love doing it, and it's one of my favorite things I do all year.
Well, Coach, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you. So I got to say this, the Dodgers plane just landed. We got that hot off the press. How does that make you feel as a diehard that grew up in Orange County? Is that right?
Whittier, California.
How does that make you feel when you hear the plane just landed? Parade's tomorrow.
Somebody in the office today at the basketball office said, have you ever been to a parade? So I've been to a Laker parade back in the 80s. I think I went to the 81 or 88 parade. You don't get to see much. It's just the point of the aspect of being there with other Dodger fans. Knowing that the Dodgers touchdown in L.A., knowing that the parade is going to happen. I mean, what do you think? 2 million tomorrow, 2.1, 2.3? I mean, it's going to be incredible. I don't know, because you and I, Coach Holt probably have been fans. We don't even want to put the years together on that. But as a kid in 1978, 77, 78, going to the stadium with my parents, Dodger fans were very, very lucky to have the team that we have to follow. I think my mom sent me a text about that last night. She goes, can you believe it? When you were a little kid and you're still watching them at 51 years old? And I was born a Dodger fan, Case. 51 years I've been a fan of this team. The greatest player ever played for the Dodgers is a guy named Franklin Stubbs. Look his stats up. You'll see why I said that. But Dodgers fans were very, very lucky. We're very, very lucky to have this as our team. And I think we've got a bunch of guys on the Dodgers team that are first class, and they're fun to follow. And so hearing them touchdown, I'm fired up.
Okay, get out of here with this sentiment. And yes, by the way, we are now. I wanted to put all my attention to the Major League Club. I wanted to provide the most amount of information I could give you on the other team, the Dodgers, the LA Dodgers. So in the postseason, we didn't do any minor league coverage because there's no minor league coverage going on. There's nothing to talk about. We're going to get So I wanted to say we're going to dive right back into that starting next week and get back into all of our sweet spot, which is the minor league coverage. That's coming, but I felt like I just didn't think there needed to be undivided attention as the Dodgers are trying to win a World Series. I didn't think we could do a good enough job doing that. So I wanted to get that out there, Coach. I want to leave with this because you are Whittier, California diehard. That's even different than me. I'm a diehard, but I'm not like you. I didn't grow up there. My OSU, I grew up in Stillwater. That I understand you're diehard to the Dodgers because that's how I am towards OSU. I didn't have a choice. It just happened because I grew up around it, right? It was osmosis. So I understand your love for the Dodgers. So I wanted to end this show with, what is the biggest emotion and what are you most proud of?
So first off, let me address something. Just because you didn't grow up in LA doesn't mean you're not as big as a fan. I don't want to ever compare. I think Dodger fans are the best in the world, and we all have our reasonings, and you're right. But what is the biggest, my emotion? I just, for a team that was predicted to do so well and not do well all year and have so many ups and downs, for me, my biggest emotion is that Kershaw got to go away as a champion. And a name that we haven't talked about, Vesia, with what he's going through, that didn't get to experience this because of some things that he's dealing with. I think getting him to be a world champion was great. That's what my emotion is. They're back-to-back champions. I've never seen that as a Dodger fan, as being a Dodger. We're back-to-back champs, and you know what? We could probably go for 3 and 4. So I think we run it back and go for a third. That's my biggest takeaway, is that we sent out Kershaw with a world championship.
We did, Coach, and one of our rock stars, Bruce Davis, just sent us a $5 super chat. It says, Casey, thank you for all that you teach me about the game of baseball. Bruce Davis, you have added a ton to this channel. It's people like you that have made this the best community on earth to talk Dodgers baseball. So, hey, Coach, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate you, brother.
All right, guys. Later.
Okay, for all of you Dodgers dogs, you're the absolute best. You know that. And so until next time, it's a great day to be a Dodger.